Hello and welcome. This is Anubis, also known as Lee. Today I thought I'd just do a quick update video. I know I haven't put up a video in it's been about 2 weeks according to YouTube. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago. Wanted to go ahead and just update. I do have my next sample box. It will be on the way shortly. I saw the charges have come through, so they better ship it quick. Last time they charged me and they didn't even ship it for like 2 weeks, and I wasn't too super thrilled about that. Otherwise, I thought I'd answer a couple questions that I got asked. First one is going to be gaming content related. No, I know I haven't been on Twitch recently, and I haven't made a gaming video in ages. Sorry about that. I just haven't really been in the mood to make any gameplay footage related videos. It's a little harder for me to get into it and make it entertaining, unfortunately, if I'm not in the mood after working all day. So I just, rather than putting out something that it's not going to be entertaining to watch, which even the ones that are out there, I'm sorry, aren't even in the best to begin with, but I'm not going to be doing any of that here in the near future. I will probably do a Twitch live stream. I'll do a drunk stream with the gang, probably in the next week or two. But other than that, I'm not going to be doing any recordings that I can think of other than related to that. Vaping questions. I did get asked, when did I start vaping? That's kind of a hard one to answer. I started, first time I tried it would have been in 2003, 2004, somewhere around that time. Didn't exactly mark it on a calendar. To make a long story short, the first thing I had ever tried was a smokeless cigarette. It wasn't even something like what we would see today. I think it was called an Eclipse, and that thing was awful. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. It was like a real ass cigarette with a hollow tube in the middle and some kind of weird ass heating element. And what's the scariest part is I don't even know what the hell the heating element was, and I was sucking on the goddamn things. And as it went down, it would vaporize actual factual tobacco's nicotine, and you would blow out basically nothing. That was my first step into the trying to get away from cigarettes, healthier alternative. Headaches weren't worth it, threw them away. A while after that, I tried Cigalikes. Back then, they weren't in every gas station you went to. You had to actually go to a smoke shop. So I was actually at a smoke shop picking up tobacco because I was rolling my own cigarettes at the time. Nice quality, less filler, whatnot. And saw it and it was like $100 or something. It was just a Cigalike, nothing special by today's standards, but I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. I picked it up, worked well enough, helped me back off of cigarettes. Unfortunately, wasn't a huge online shopper back then, and the atomizer would go out. You'd go to the smoke shop. They didn't have an atomizer, but they'd be glad to sell you another $100 one, like whole kit. So I went through a couple of those paperweights. Damn shame to go through that much money. I didn't really pick it up again, like what you'll be seeing me do on the channel now, till about a year or so ago. I was visiting with some family in Florida, and those areas we were going around, I noticed a couple of people with lanyards with stuff like the spinner hanging off of them. I didn't know what the heck I was saying, so I asked a couple people, and they showed me, and I was like, that's not the way I remember e-cigarettes. So I went and I picked up a Vision Spinner 2 and kind of went from there, and I've got all kinds of equipment now. Well, had a whole lot of equipment. I tend to loan it or give it away to family, friends, co-workers as I see them with the icky sticky sticks. I'm like, yeah, you see this? It's a lot better. It's a lot better for you. I'll hand them something. A lot of times I carry an extra something in my car, and just hand it to them. Here you go. Here's a tank. Give it a shot, and I've converted a few people as a result, which makes me feel good. Realistically, if we were talking about when I started vaping, the past stuff, I was interested in the idea years ago. I tried it years ago. I haven't really been a vapor or a vapester or whatever you want to call it that the cool kids are calling it these days, until about a year or so ago. These days, I primarily use, well, especially when I'm around the house, I should say. When I'm at the house, I definitely use my Mech Mods. Um, I've got the Congestus. It's a clone. People out there that'll get mad because I didn't support the maker. sorry, I can think of better ways to use that money at this time. Down the road, I might pick up a real Congestus because I love this clone, and if it supports somebody, I'll probably do it eventually. I've also got what I believe is called a torpedo. I'll throw something at the bottom if I said that wrong. I don't use that one as often. It's nice. It hits pretty decent, but it is a fucking pain in the ass to put a battery in that son of a bitch. It's got an adjustable screw at the atomizer that comes down, and when you tweak it a little bit, you put the battery in, you put the bottom on. As the bottom's spinning, it's got a piece of plastic at the bottom, which then, as a result, turns the battery, which as a result turns the fucking adjustment pin, and you can never get it to just throw the battery in and close it and have it look flush. You gotta take it apart, tweak it, take it apart, tweak it. Hits great. Pain in the ass. I don't use it. I use the Congestus primarily. And when I go to work, I've been using my Sigelli. I don't know. Everybody calls it something different. I'm gonna say Sigelli. From here, henceforth, it is the Sigelli, 30 watt, and that does me pretty right too. As far as atomizers and tanks and stuff, which was another question I got. I have a couple that I like, but primarily what I use if I use a tank is I have well, I do have some Genesis clones. I actually have some kind of I forget what it's called exactly. This is a Prometheus clone. Um, we'll call it a Genesis. I use a couple of those. I'm not hugely impressed by them, so I don't use them often, but occasionally I will use them. If nothing else for the looks, it's nice if I'm going out somewhere where I know people will be vaping. If it gets people's attention, that's a good thing. But primarily, my go-to recently has been my Infinity CLT version 2 Plus. And that's important to have the plus on there because there's a regular version 2 as well that doesn't have as much airflow. I prefer having, I don't always keep it wide open, but having the option to, especially on a fresh battery, it's kind of nice because it'll cool it off a little bit and just have a nice huge plume. Um, I've got a Plume Veil. It's an original. It's not the 1.2. I think it's actually, it might not be the original first run. It might be a 1.1. I also have a Magma, and I absolutely love my Magma. And this one's not a clone. This is an actual Magma, and I use that quite a bit too. At least once a week I go to it, sometimes more often. It just depends on what I'm vaping on. Certain things, the flavor doesn't come through as well in the CLT. And if it's a good flavor, but I'm just not getting enough of it, I will absolutely throw it on the Magma. That Magma will pull the fucking flavor, it'll rip it right out of that fucking juice. And so that's my primary equipment. I've got other stuff. I have a Spire Atlantis. I think I showed this on one of my last videos. I like it. It's decent. The coils do a pretty good job. Unfortunately, a lot of the reviewers out there were saying that it worked well with high VG juices. I use high VG juice for a couple reasons. One of which is because I like these, but PG actually makes my skin sensitive. I don't know why, but like especially like my scalp and stuff actually aches if I vape a lot of the higher PG. No clue why. Apparently that's normal for some people. So I use higher VG juices. I was seeing reviews by other guys that do the same thing. Indoor Smokers, Tia Vapes, for example, both mentioned that the higher VG, no problem. Wicks great, it's perfect. I burnt the fuck out of one of my wicks. I don't exactly. I'm not. I don't sit there and hit non-stop. I wasn't back to back to back sucking the thing dry. It wasn't like down low and it wasn't wicking because of that. Tank was full. I'm standing outside with a coworker, took a hit, talking, take a hit, talking, take a hit. Damn near died. Burnt the wick completely up. I mean, burnt that fucking wick. So, and I've gone through another wick that I'm going to have to change now. That was about a week ago. The new wick that's in there is already tasting skunky as shit on the higher VG. However, my very first coil, that I've 3 coils in use on this one. First one still works great. I've only been using that with higher PG juices. Beautiful, works perfect. The other two, burnt to shit on high VG. Excuse me, high VG. I don't use that one as much anymore. If I'm gonna use a higher PG juice, I have no real use for that. To me, I don't get as much enjoyment. I use an Aspire. What are you called? Nautilus. Occasionally, that one's usually out in my car. I was looking over on my shelf for it because it's not there. It's in my car with a USB pass-through thing. Other than that, I've got some Kangster gurgle tanks. I don't use them as much. Those are my loaners. I've got fresh, heads I can throw on there and loan them out in a heartbeat, but I don't really like using them as much. If you have any other questions for me, folks, feel free to ask. I don't mind answering anything. You can PM me if you want me to make it into a video. I'll make it into a video. If you just want me to answer, I'll just answer. But I figured because I had a couple questions and I hadn't put out a video, I'd go ahead and give you a rambling video. So let's go ahead and we'll go out on a toke, right? All right. God, I thought I'd never get to my coffee. What are you still doing here? Didn't you see the outro? I blew the vapor. I did the thing. Oh, I didn't say the thing. All right, I got you. Well, happy vaping to you, and peace off, everyone.